Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we got a play-in tournament game to discuss in the Eastern Conference. The Charlotte Hornets versus the Atlanta Hawks. This game is pretty interesting, to say the least. Two very high-octane young teams that are going to look to tear each other's heads off tonight. Now, the thing about this game is, as I have my envisioning, I guess you could say, or as I'm imagining how this game goes, it's hard for me to envision any scenario where Trae Young isn't the one triumphant at the end of this game. That's the bottom line. It's just going to come down to who can will their team the victory. Now, there's a guy on the Charlotte Hornets that I think really thrives in situations such as these. His name is Terry Roziers. And if he goes off, if he can provide that same intensity or similar willfulness that I think Trae Young is going to bring to this game, it'll give the Swarm a chance to really take over and get this victory. But I just know Trae Young's game. He's built for this. This is what he does. He wants this type of moment. He lives for this. And I expect him to be efficient tonight. I think the best thing the Charlotte Hornets can do for themselves is attack this dude. Like, try to get him off the floor. You know, he's of slight of stature. You know they're going to try to hide him defensively. And it's on the guards of the Charlotte Hornets to put pressure on this individual. Another person I'm paying attention to on the Charlotte side of things is Bridges, Miles Bridges. He's up for a big-time extension. A lot has been said about his contract going into the season, how Charlotte didn't want to pay it or what have you, and how he has put on probably one of the biggest jumps that we've seen of the year. He could be considered most improved player of the year. And quite honestly, he's playing for a contract. And in a game like this, winner takes all, I think he could earn himself quite a bit of money tonight if he were to play very well in a game like this and lead his team to victory. I believe he's a close to, if not should have been, all-star caliber player. You know, he's right there in that area and range. And this would be a heck of a game for him to come out and really put up big numbers and put an imprint on this game that's not to be forgotten. Obviously, when you talk about the Hawks, you want to consider other players on their team other than Trae Young, like John Collins. But unfortunately, we're not going to see Collins tonight. He's going to be ruled out for this one, along with Gordon Hayward for the Charlotte Hornets. And I didn't see the official injury report, but I did see that those two players were not playing, so I'm not sure who else will or will not be playing. But, of course, there are other players on the Charlotte Hornets team that need to be considered, to say the least. We have not mentioned LaMelo Ball, and it's because I'm on the fence about what I'm to expect from him tonight. I just don't know. I know he's going to play well, but will his great style of play be enough to overcome that of what Trae Young is going to bring to the table? I don't know that he's there yet. Now, I know that his upside and what he's going to be is definitely that type of guy. He could certainly see anybody. I think he's going to be one of the best players. I think he's already one of the best players, but I think he's still coming into his own. And I think a game like tonight could help us understand who he's going to be in these moments. If he's able to win this game, we will see him in a different light. It's that simple. This team is a team that we thought would make the playoffs, a lot of us. Unfortunately, they find themselves in this situation where they're the 10th spot. So their situation is that if they don't win this game, they go home just like the Atlanta Hawks. There's no game for them to fall to like the Nets and the Cavaliers. Unfortunately, the Cavaliers lost their game, and we'll have to see the winner of this game. So you already know what you're up against if you're the victor here, but you got to get out of this situation. You don't want your season to end here. And, you know, that's what it's really about. Whose team can will themselves the win. Quite honestly, I think this is a great matchup. I think this game could be an overtime matchup potentially. And when it's a winner takes all, one game situation, you just don't know what's going to be the determining factor. Fouls are important. You know, you saw a situation in the Timberwolves game where coach took a gamble and left a player on the floor with 3 fouls in a situation where they picked up their 4th foul. And you know that's not something that you would see every day, but because the stakes are so high, because it's winner take all, you may see some gambling. You may see some things, some unprecedented things that you wouldn't even see in a playoff situation because there's more games to play. So I love the setup. I think this is a raging success for the NBA, having this play-in tournament. Everybody loves the games. It doesn't seem to take away in terms of time, as far as how long it takes between the regular season to end and the playoffs to begin. If anything, it feels like it gives us more excitement leading into the playoffs. It gives us more basketball to enjoy. So the only downside in my mind is just the injury risk. You know what I mean? More basketball equals more chances to get hurt, but and how it affects things historically, given the fact that you're adding games to the situation. But all in all, this has been something that I've enjoyed a lot, and I think this game is going to be yet another representative, great installment of this play-in tournament series. I don't anticipate any blowouts. I don't anticipate this game being something that gets away from either team. If there is a big lead, I expect a comeback. If somebody gets down by 18, I expect a comeback. I just don't think either one of these teams are that much better than one another at this stage in the situation. They're both very deep. They're both high octane. They both are missing players. They both have players that have something to prove. And it's just going to be about what coach arranges their team and takes advantage of the strengths they have out there. I look at a team like Charlotte, and I'm wondering what type of defense they're going to play tonight. I look at a team like Atlanta, and I wonder what their rotation situation is going to look like tonight, because they have so much depth, in my opinion, that sometimes it can get a little confusing about who's best to play in what situations for that team. Is this going to be a night where a veteran like Gallinari goes off? I know that they've had some big games out of some players lately. Pay attention to, my man's name is lost in my head. But Atlanta has shooters over there. They have defenders over here. You got to pay attention to a guy like DeAndre Hunter in Atlanta. You got to pay attention to guys like Onyeka Okongwu. Who's going to win that center position? Montrezl Harrell. How well is he going to be getting on the boards? How much energy is he going to provide the team? These are the things that you're going to be paying attention to tonight. On the Charlotte side of things, what's going on with the foul situation. All of that stuff together, ultimately, I think will determine this game, because these young teams are just going to go back and forth. Who's falling in love with the three-point shot? Is it falling? If so, is this a situation where the other team is getting out in transition? I'd imagine Trae Young is going to get to the line a lot. Can LaMelo get to the line just as much to try to offset that? Can he get Trae Young in foul trouble? Can he use his size advantage over that team? There's so many different things to look at. So I'm going to be very, very, very attentive for this matchup. And because I don't pay attention to these teams as a Western Conference, guy, a Laker fan, I can't say I have an educated guess as it pertains to who's going to win this game. But judging what I understand about these rosters, it's just very difficult for me to see Atlanta losing this game tonight. I just know how Trae Young is, and I expect him to put up a gigantic line. I expect LaMelo Ball to put up fantastic line as well, but I just don't expect his night to be as big as Trae's in a game like this. And unless Terry's going off for like 38 or 40 points, I'd imagine that Atlanta's firepower is going to be a bit much for Charlotte's firepower. But again, a big game from Bridges can offset that. Oubre having a good game could really help them a lot. Obviously, you want to see him get out in transition. He's capable of a big game. That's the thing about it. A guy like Kelly Oubre, you've seen him go off for 35. You've seen him have a 40-point game. If this is one of those nights, that could be a good thing. But in that same breath, if a guy like that goes out with the intention of having a big game, it could be a bad night. You want to see both teams play within the flow of the game. You want to see both teams work the ball around and play unselfish. The team that can turn the ball over the least will probably win this game. Who's hitting free throws, stuff like that is more important and more elevated in a game like this. So I'm excited. I'm very excited about this matchup. And I'm looking to learn about these two teams as well. And again, obviously, who loses this game goes home, and who wins it gets the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 8th spot. And, you know, judging by how the Cleveland Cavaliers look, I would imagine both of these teams feel pretty optimistic that they can beat the Cavaliers in that game. So that should incentivize them that much more to compete out there and be willful out there. So, yeah, winner takes all. It's gonna be a fun one. I think that ultimately Trae Young is going to tell the story. Officials are to be paid attention to tonight. Who's going to be getting the whistles? Are they going to let them bang out there? If so, who does that favor? Looking at Clint Capella tonight, I think he has an advantage on that team. Although they got Plumlee and Trez, I do think Capella at his best should be able to win that matchup. Stuff like that, man. It's too bad Gordon Hayward can't go for Charlotte because that would really help them. But that is the case. So, yeah, that's what it is, man. My name is BDF44. Everyone enjoy the game, and I'm out.